Hi, I'm Rachel Deegan with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, C. Dan Joyner Realtors, and I would like to talk to you today a little bit about the expenses that you can expect prior to getting to the closing table. Right now, we're going to assume that you have already spoken to a lender, you have gotten pre-qualified, and you are ready to move on with your home search. So at this point, you need to be aware that your lender, while they may have already explained to you a little bit about closing costs and what you can expect to bring to the closing table, that there are some things that are going to be expected to be paid prior to getting to that point. That's not to say that if they told you you needed $5,000 at closing, these are in addition to that. Most likely, if your lender estimated correctly, these will be deducted from the amount that you come to closing with. So the first amount of money that you're going to have to come up with is something that's called earnest money. In South Carolina, anytime you want to have a valid contract, there has to be, in addition to everyone's signatures, there needs to be an exchange of value. So in this case, when you're buying a home, your exchange is money. So typically the closing attorney will hold in escrow, which is an account for your property. We usually start at about $500, and that's money given in good faith to say, yes, I am serious about buying this home. If I back out and I say, oh, never mind, I changed my mind, it means that there is some consequence to you for backing out of the deal. That's not to say if something goes wrong with the deal that is not your fault, you can't get that money back. It's just kind of a protection to make sure that you are for real. So that's usually about $500. Once we're under contract and that deal has been signed, dated, ratified, we're under contract and we're ready to move forward, then we are going to move into the inspection period. The time frame is going to be outlined in the contract, but know that you are going to need to have funds to have a general inspection completed. Okay? You want an inspection, I promise. It's going to make sure that you have as secure an investment as you can basically get. Like, you don't want to buy a house that the roof is caving in and you didn't know because 3 beams had been cut and oh, it snowed and it was too heavy and brought the roof down. Your general inspector is going to be kind of like your general practitioner when you go to the doctor. They're going to look at the overall health of the home. Okay, now say something came up on that inspection and it was a little questionable, you may need to call in a specialist. So that's going to be a separate inspection. But your general inspection typically is going to be starting out between $300 and $350, depending on the age of the home, if you're on a septic system, if you're in Greenville, you need to have a radon test. If you're not familiar with radon, that is a radioactive gas that actually comes from within the earth. It is naturally occurring. Some places just have higher levels. Some homes just accumulate more. So because it is a dangerous gas, it is radioactive, it does have the potential to be detrimental to your health over long periods of time. We want to make sure that we address that head on prior to you getting to closing. So there could be added fees for those tests if you choose to have them. Okay, the next thing that you're gonna potentially have a fee for is called a CL100, and in the state of South Carolina, that is a report that is required by every lender. It is a wood infestation report that looks for wood destroying organisms and moisture levels. Okay, if you are familiar with wood at all, what causes rot? Moisture. So over prolonged periods of time, if you have wood that is too wet, you're going to get wood destroying organisms, whether it's fungi, fungus, termites, carpenter ants, anything like that that can destroy the structural integrity of your home needs to be looked for. It's going to show up on this report, and the seller is going to need to remedy those issues prior to the loan being funded, you accepting occupancy of the home, anything like that. For a VA loan, the seller is required to pay for that inspection. For the rest of the loans out there, it is typically an expense that can be negotiated between buyer and seller at the time we do the contract. So keep in mind that inspection is typically between $75 and I've seen them as much as $150. Okay. If you have multiple offers on a home, it may not be in your best interest to ask the seller to go ahead and pay for that. You may just want to eat that cost and move on. That way your offer is more appealing to them. But that being said, once that's done, you should be good to go. Now, the next thing that you're going to have to pay prior to it happening, prior to closing, is going to be your appraisal fee. That's going to be required by the lender. It is to protect you. It is to protect them. It's typically between $450 and $500. We do not get to select the appraiser, and neither does the bank. And that is because we want to make sure that there is nothing fishy going on. So the bank doesn't want to loan you more money than the house is worth, because in the event that you default on that mortgage, they will not be able to recoup their investment. In the event that that home is only worth $100,000 and you took out a loan for $150,000, you don't want to pay more than the house is worth. What sense does that make? We want to protect you and your money, your investment, everything that we possibly can. So you want to have that appraisal done. That being said, there are appraisals such as VA, FHA, USDA that require the property to meet certain terms and the property be in a certain condition. So you can't have peeling paint, you can't have shingles missing, siding sagging, you can't have porch steps without rails, that type of thing. In the event that something happens when they're doing that appraisal and these things show up, then they need to be remedied prior to the bank funding the loan. There will be a fee for the inspector to come out and verify that the repairs were done correctly and sign off on that. The fee for that is typically between $150 and $200. So yes, you're paying a lot of things up front, but ideally what has happened is that your lender has already made a proper estimate for those expenses, and those fees are going to come off the final closing costs, because they're all going to be added up, and everything you're going to be paying for this purchase is going to be outlined on your settlement sheet, showing you where every single penny has gone and where it came from. So that being said, be prepared. It's not to scare you, it's so you're not blindsided with costs that were completely unexpected. I would love to talk to you more about it. I am planning on putting a more in-depth explanation as to when you would need a lead-based paint inspection, when you would need a radon inspection, and what radon is, because that's something that a lot of people don't know about, is how potentially dangerous radon can be. It's not to scare you, it's not to say, panic now, but it's good to know these things so you can have peace of mind. If you have any questions, any concerns, I'm always here. Give me a call, shoot me an email, send me a text, drop a link in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer anything. Thanks so much, and I hope to talk to you soon.